Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Global Intelligence Updates. It's the 14th of February here in South Africa. It's Valentine's Day. And yeah, can you believe it? Time flies. Hey, we're already half through February, and this year is just coming through. So today we've got a special guest. We've got Claire Boscq. And just to give you guys some more information on Claire, Claire is the #1 woman on the Global Customer Experience Gurus list. With 3 decades of expertise, Claire really has an authority in the customer experience industry. Being an international seller, author of four published books, she is an international media influencer with her work published in Brazil, Philippines, India, US, and Europe. Claire has spoken in over 20 countries where she delivers fast-paced and high-energy presentations in French and in English. That's amazing. Winner of the Institute of Director Awards. She is also an A on the board. She's also an A on the board of the Virtual Speakers Association. And she brings a more holistic and comprehensive approach to organizations and individuals with a BizShui method, creating powerful flow in businesses by integrating a blend of the traditional Feng Shui principles with modern business, personal needs, tuning people and places into prosperity. Wow.
Oh my God, that's a long one, right?
That's awesome, Claire.
Right, we've finished the webinar now. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
What an introduction. So Claire, on that introduction, I want to ask, how did you come with the idea of Feng Shui in business?
Yes, well, this is it. I think there's been the pandemic had made us all suddenly go totally out of our comfort zone, right? I mean, probably a lot of you, because you're still an entrepreneur, coaches, you already worked from home, but hey, our environment has totally changed, and suddenly we had to work from the side of a kitchen table or bed, and it was like, wow, what is happening? We've got dogs, we've got family, we've got telephone ringing everywhere, and this was kind of a bit of a blow for everybody. And actually, what's happening and what most people don't realize is our physical environment has a direct effect on our state of being. So the way we feel, the way we think, and the way we behave, this is affected by our environment. So if you're walking in somewhere, oh, it smells nice, it looks good, you're going to feel good, right? I was talking to Mike about walking through this fabulous hotel where we're going to go in Bali for our speaker conference, and you're walking through that first impression, you see the sea, you're like, wow, it smells gorgeous, and you just want to stay there, right? And actually, the other way around, you're walking in somewhere and you just go, oh, you don't know why, but there's something not quite right there. And that means that the environment and the energy isn't right. So that was a bit of I was just positioning a little bit the why. I had been talking and working with organization on their customer experience and employee experience for over 13 years. And I lost all my business in 3 days at the pandemic. Suddenly just went crashed, like many of you know, the core of my business was mystery shopping. And obviously there was no mystery shopping to be done when everything was shut. So I had to kind of, once I picked myself up from the floor, I had to kind of reevaluate what I was doing. And somebody said to me that I was on the right path, and I had to come out and talk about really what I'm passionate about. And so I had been a Feng Shui practitioner for over 10 years. And I've always thought talking about Feng Shui, people would have gone, oh, Claire's gone all woo-woo kind of thing. You know, that kind of feeling? And then I was a pandemic and I had no clients, I had nothing to lose. So I thought, why not? Why not actually, now that people really are feeling that difference with our environment, really it's time to really share with them some really good tips and nuggets on how to create a better environment so they feel better in themselves, they can deliver great service, they can be more productive, and they can be more prosperous in their environment with their people and their places. So that's when I started creating that little BizShui method.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's impressive. I mean, we all had to adapt in the COVID era, the lockdown era. Yeah, so talking about energies, why is it so important to look at energies in an environment?
Yeah, so energy is all around us, whether we understand it or not, or whether we get it, it's all around us. So when you have low level energy, you're going to feel like procrastinating, and you're going to feel tired, and you're going to feel, you don't want to be doing much, and you're feeling that in your body. And when you feel good, you've got great energy, you're going to start, you get up in the morning and you start dancing. So that environment piece is really important. And it works on the subconscious level. So when you feel good, you release happy hormones. Yes, all the dopamines are coming out, and you've got, serotonin and oxytocin. So you feel good. You want to do some more of that feeling good. And so that's what we try to achieve by creating an environment which will affect our energy, our inner energy. We can then be more performant, we can be more productive, we can be doing a lot more in our days. So it's a really important fact that, this environment piece will affect, the outer energy will affect the inner energy.
Wow, yeah, very interesting. It's I actually read something, I think about a week ago, where they said scientists have now gone back on their theory that everything exists out of dark matter, that everything exists out of energies. So that's pretty cool.
So energy is in motion, right? So it's it's the energy in motion. So when you've got the energy, the flow of energy, and you know it yourself, when things go right, it just feels good. It's endless, right? When you're in that flow, in that moment, for a speaker, when you're on that stage, you're walking on that stage and you're really on that flow moment, when you're on the ski piste and you're really going down, if you're a sports person, you're really in that flow. And that's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to put everything that we can from the energy side of it to make it right. So when we talk about, we've got two sides in a very simple way. We've got two sides of our brain. We've got the left brain, which is the neocortex brain, and it's our doing. It's the doing, the action. It's the analytic brain. And then you've got the right brain, which is, it's all about the emotions. It connects directly on an emotional level. It's our dreaming, it's our feelings. So the right brain, the limbic brain, it's that yin energy, the feminine energy. So when you are, whether it's life or in business, I always say, lead with a yin, lead with a yin and manage with a yang, right? So you're creating that balance of yin and yang in your life. You're always moving from one to the other. And to create harmony, you need to be, you can't be in that yang energy all the time. Otherwise, what happens? You crash, because you're releasing too many stress hormones. You're stressed all the time and anxious, so you're going to crash. So you need to have a really nice balance to be able to pause and recharge your batteries, and then you can go into that yang energy again. So really kind of that yin and yang, it's really important to have in our life.
Yeah, that's a very cool line. Like Philippe, he just quoted it and he said, lead with the yang, balance with the yang. Gold.
Lead with a yin, manage with a yang. Yeah, it's one of my keynote that I do workshops on that as well, just to help really kind of people realizing that they're, leaders are just so, all the time in that yang energy, and then they forget to, they forget to care for their people. They forget to go and see people and actually shake their hands or say thank you. They forget to be that yin energy and bring some more care into what they do. So it's important that in our lives and in our businesses, we're creating harmony with the yin and the yang.
Cool. So with those people that don't really know Feng Shui, I think they know, of course, that moving things around, moving furniture around, that changes the energy flow. So how can that help to help people thrive?
Sure. So I think feng shui or feng shui, depending feng shui with an accent, Philippe, I'm a French accent. Yes, we'll say feng shui. Feng shui with a bit more of an American accent, depending where you are. It's the old ancient Chinese principles, and the principles were very simple. You know, nature is all around us, and when we in nature, we feel good. There's something about it. It's automatically you've got that harmony around you. But of course, you couldn't stay in nature, otherwise you'd get eaten in the middle of the night, right? So they had to build houses around them. But creating those man-made houses meant that they wanted to still bring that nature outside from the inside, from the outside inside. So what feng shui is about, it really is about that energy that you've got and that you're creating inside. A lot of people see it or know it as, moving the furniture, but it's more about an alignment of things, and you're aligning. So we all have different energy in ourselves. I'm a bit of a fire element, right? If you see what I mean. Some will be more water elements, so will be more wood elements. So depending on what your natural elements, we do profiling when we talk about profiling in psychology, in employees' experiences and that kind of things. This is profiling. So once we know your energy, we can align the flow of energy inside, outside with your own energy. And that's when you start really creating fabulous, fabulous energy. So there's different principles that the Feng Shui shows us. And then you're using those principles to creating that environment. Well, you know what, Chris, we all do Feng Shui ourselves, right? You don't need to be a Feng Shui master or practitioner to know that. You know it yourself. If you put something somewhere and it doesn't feel right, you're going to move it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So you are all subconsciously doing it. What Feng Shui brings is a methodology and actually some principles to make you consciously move things so they're really in the right place. And you can really turn your people and places into prosperity. Wow. That's cool, right? I like that. That's my plug line. I managed to put it in. That's very good. You see that one,
Mike? Mike gave the heads up.
So yes, consciously. So once we do things consciously, that means that we can make our space really work for us. And when we're looking at our environment, so I'm looking at the physical work from home. So in an office space, when you're at home, what are the best placements and what are the best things so you feel good in your space? If you're in a corporate space, and sometimes you see those corporate offices with white desk, white chair, white walls, white everything. I mean, it's so cool, right? Well, actually, it's way too cool because white, it's a metal element. And what does metal do? It cuts. So you wonder why there's no team activity in those offices, why people are arguing with each other and cutting each other off because that energy is way too cold and way too unbalanced. So you look at those spaces and you can actually start creating things. If you're looking at, for example, a boardroom, you want a bit of yang energy in the boardroom, right? It's where people are going to talk and be creative and think about things. So you'll be adding on some yang energy in there. Whereas if you have a waiting room, let's think about a dentist and you go waiting room, and a dentist already psychologically, right? People are quite afraid of going to the dentist. If you sit them in the space where they're not going to feel calm and relaxed, they're never going to sit in that chair. So depending on the spaces in your business, you will add or remove certain elements to make them feel and make them create better flow and harmony in that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I think there's so much more that you can reach or talk about on that topic. And you actually answered my next question. I was going to ask, what are the common mistakes you see in the people's home or office space?
So yes, not using so there's 5 natural elements. So you've got water. Water will feed wood. That makes sense. Wood would feed fire. That makes sense. Fire feeds earth. Okay, when it burns, it feeds the earth. Earth feeds metal, and metal feeds water. So those are the 5 elements that you really want to have in your environment to start feeling good. So I'm looking at Philip's background, for example, and I'm looking at, it looks like it's got quite a beige kind of color around his office. There's one red light at the back, but really I'd like to see a little bit of greenery. I don't know if you've got any trees or any tree in your office. Add a little bit of wood, because wood is all about growing your business. It's about going up into the air, really kind of those roots. You're rooting your business in the ground. You want to add a little bit of fire element. So there's a bit of light behind Philip's there. So the light element will add the fire element. You want to have a little bit of water. Water is the prosperity. Have you ever been into a Chinese restaurant and there's a fish tank at the entrance, right? Yeah, because it's prosperity. So having water, movement of the water in your office is always a great thing to do. So adding those 5 elements. So when you're looking at the spaces that you have, especially in home offices, what a lot of people do is they put their desk against the wall, and they're actually literally facing the wall, right? And everything is about perception. So when you're thinking your head, you're facing your head, and you can bang your head against the wall, right? You've never seen a CEO of a Fortune 500 with his head against the wall. No, the CEO of a Fortune 500, he's got a wall in the back. He's got a big chair that protects his back. So he knows that no one's going to come behind him and try to stab him, right? He's got protection on the side, and then he sees anything that's coming through the front door, his doors, that's what he sees. And that's called a commanding position. So when you're putting yourself in that commanding position, your subconscious is saying, oh, I know I'm not going to get killed today. This is one of the things. Your body is here to protect you. That little letter brain at the back of your amygdala, little brain down there. It's all about you protecting yourself. It's protecting you all day long. So put yourself in the commanding position so your body doesn't have to jump every 5 seconds and wonder if somebody's going to come and kill you. Give your body a bit of a space and a bit of release, and actually give that position. And this is true for the desk position, we see that very often, but it's true for your bed. It's true for your sofa and your kitchen, your cooking, when you're cooking in a kitchen. So looking at where you're positioning the different elements will help you to sleep better, because you can open your eyes and see what comes in through the door. If you've got your back at the back of the doors, it's always a little bit. So those are kind of things that, it's important. So using that, having a space which is maybe too neutral, like we were saying, some of those white colors everywhere, add some of the 5 different elements. So add some greenery, add some fire, add some water, add some earth, and add some metal. So you're kind of creating those 5 elements within the environment. And it's always about that yin and yang energy. One of the things that the low energy is clutter. All right, okay, now I'm looking at everybody on the screen now. Hands up, hands up if your desk or your desktop or you've got clutter everywhere. No, Melanie's looking good. Lynette, Lynette's hands up. Right, we've got a bit of a hands up here. Yeah, Philippe as well. We've got a bit of a thing. Okay, so clutter is really, it's BizShui because it's that low energy, and you know it yourself. When your phone or your desktop is full, what happens? Well, it's going to start being slower and slower, and you can't find things, and it just needs backing up, and suddenly it starts rebooting himself. And So it's the same. So you want to create as much flow as you can in your space, and keeping things clear and is a really, really the best thing that I could do. So here I'm going to give you all guys a challenge. Who's up for a challenge? Huh? Philip, come on, Mike. Yes, Chris, hello, ladies. Yes, we are all up for a challenge. So I'm going to give you a quick challenge. Is 9 minutes a long time? 9 minutes is nothing, right? Oh, Mike says yes. Okay. 9 minutes is nothing, right? 9 minutes is absolutely nothing. So for the next 9 days, I want you to block 9 minutes in your diary, and you're doing 9 minutes of decluttering. So it could be your drawer, it could be your Facebook friends, it could be your filing cabinet with your clients. Yes, if you have clients in that filing cabinet who've never been with you for the last 10 years, declutter them, get rid of them, leave some space for actually some new, brand new clients, fresh new clients to come. One that you could be doing today, because it's Valentine's, I'm going to have to give you a few feng shui moves for Valentine's, right? Look under your bed. Okay, under the bed. Declutter everything under the bed. Do we have any clutter under the bed, ladies? I'm looking at some faces. No, okay, that's good. I'm not seeing anything. So under the bed, if you've got really no, it's a no, because you're sleeping on rubbish. You don't want to be sleeping on rubbish, right? You need to have nice, clear space. And because it's Valentine's, if you want to spice things up a little bit in your love life, oh yes, well, you can add a little bit of pimentos and put that under your spouse's bedside. Oh yes, I see a little bit of spice going on there. That's a little bit that's an extra little shui moves that you could be doing. A little bit of spice under the bed in your spouse's corner. It's always good things to do, right?
Claire, I've got a question here from Philippe. He asked, is Feng Shui about flow too?
About flow. Yes, Feng Shui is all about flow. Yes, absolutely. So this is the flow that, you're creating. And that's why moving things is good, because, if you want to change things, if you want the flow of energy to move 27 items in your space. Right? So you go around your home or your office and you move 27. And this starts moving the energy. This starts creating some flow, because you're moving things. If things are stuck, they're always stuck. You can start, things that start to have that, you may have some mushroom growings, or you may have, lots of dust on that certain space. So Feng Shui is definitely all about flow, and we want to create better flow. And that's why, some of those exercise or shui moves, as I call them, are always good to do, because you're always creating that flow. And this could be so in your home, but this could be in yourself as well. So I love talking about Feng Shui in the clothes that you're wearing. How do you feel in the morning? And when I go on stage, I always wear my yellow dresses. I'm always on yellow. This is me. This is yellow girl. I'm shining. I'm projecting that yellowness to everybody when I'm on stage. So, if you have a meeting, or if you're pitching, right, there's a little trick. If you're pitching to a new client, wear some red knickers and red bra, ladies, right? Not you, gentlemen, you don't have to wear the bras, but red knickers for pitching. Fabulous. Imagine the power that you have. You're wearing your power knickers, and that's a really good way to do it. No one sees it. But red is that fire element. It gives you that energy, and that's the flow in yourself. If you want to calm things, you may want to wear things more flowy or darker energy. So you may go for dark blues, which are more trusty. So that's always a good way. So it's about the energy from the outside, the flow from the outside, which reflect inside of you as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Philippe would also like to add a comment on your evaluation on his background. He says he's got a big chair.
Well, we'll have to do a little consult, Philippe. You can show the office around.
Awesome. Claire, I've got another question for you. With all that you said, how can you achieve a harmonious work or life balance during these challenging times? You know, just coming after lockdown and COVID. I would say this year would be officially back to normal.
Yeah, I think we were just saying that with Mike, actually. We were just saying, you know, things start feeling that we are back to normal. I think there's been such a long period of time where people were in their home that actually, and in the business, I'm seeing that very much in the corporate spaces, where actually people don't actually want to go back in a corporate space. And so they are having to think about, what is that space? How does it add value to our employees to come back? So they need to really think about those spaces are, you know, a social element out of it, as a warm, let's get together element, which has never been thought like that before, right? For corporates, it's never been thought as that. And now people have created their nest, you know. But you have got, when you're working from home, you have got to make a balance, the right harmony or balance. Balance, I'm always a little bit, because balance, you're always either one way or the other. You know, you're always like that. Whereas if you're creating harmony, you know, that's okay. If you're working until 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, but then the next morning you don't start before 10, that's okay. That's harmony, right? But if you're catching up all the time, it's more difficult. So when you're working from home, really, you need to really get that balance. You need to be very strict with yourself. So you do need to feel like you're walking into an office, even if it's a kitchen table. You need to you're creating that space and you're putting boundaries around you. So you're really having that balance between your work space and your evening and your family time space. Even if you've got an office at home, you finish work, close the door, right? Close your computer, turn it off, close the windows, close the door, and then you're going into your other space. You know, changing clothes is sometimes a very good way you're changing from one space to another, and then you become you're creating your home space, your family space. So having those really, it's very important to be able to have harmony, it's to be happy about what you do and how you do it, right? And to agree with, okay, I'm going to do this today and that's how I'm going to do it. So creating some really good habits for your staff. It's like you're brushing your teeth, right? When you're brushing your teeth, it's a habit. You don't even have to think about it. You're just brushing your teeth. Well, doing things in a certain way, you know, creating habits to make you feel good is a fantastic way to do it. Every day you're making you feel good. You know, that's a great habit to create. So having that, you know, being able to balance or harmonize your life and your business, it's about really creating those boundaries and creating routines and habits. So you're more performant, you're more present with your family when you're there. You don't, you know, you can make a real difference between both.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Claire, just looking at Lynette Anderson's background, out of interesting sake, what would you say about that?
Oh, Lynette's very busy reading. What's interesting is when you actually, one of the principal Feng Shui is actually looking at a space that you have and where you're positioning within that space, so your office. So Lynette, where's your door? Okay, on the side. So you're walking in through the side. So when we're looking at Feng Shui, there's something called the Bagua, and the Bagua is the 9 area of our lives. And when we're looking at the space and enhancing the space more in harmony, then we're looking at where are the best space for the certain things. So, for example, a career area, you will have. You can have your development, your books, your water element, because it's all about prosperity. Actually, Annette, so when you're looking at your doors, so your door's there, top right-hand side, what have you got? So I guess it'll be behind you, the bookcase, is the bookcase right Yeah.
Top right-hand side is bookcase, and then a sliding door to a patio.
Okay, and top left-hand side, what have you got there?
Top left-hand side is just a blank wall.
Sorry, if you're standing at your door,
Yes.
in front of your door, and you're looking at the top left-hand side.
There, it's a window overlooking my garden.
Right, so the top left-hand side in the bagua is your prosperity corner. So, you know, you want to add things that is going to make you feel prosperous. So you could have, you know, maybe like a money tree, or you can have a bowl where you're putting all your coins in it. You could have a mirror, and then you put a couple of dollar bills on top, and then you put, you know, that's a good way to kind of double up your money. Anything that feels rich and that feels prosperous, you can put it there. Whereas the top right hand side, so when you're standing at the door and you're looking into your office, top right hand side is your love corner. Oh yes, let's talk about love. With Valentine's happy days, yes. So there, I mean, if it's an office space, obviously it's more about relationships. So what are the relationships that you want within your business? It could be your partner, your business partners. It could be your mentors. It could be your clients. Who are the people that you want in your life to have a relationship in? So it's a really good way to think about twos in that space. So you always want two things together, right? Because it's a relationship that you're having. So you can add, so for example, if you got your bookshelf, for example, if the bookshelf goes right to the end of the right corner, you could have your books more in a pinky colors that way, and then the other colors on the other side. And then you could have, I don't know, it could be a love heart. Yeah, we could have a love heart here. Or you could have two birds together or two stones together to really kind of improve that relationship that you've got in that space, in that corner. Having your books in the different colors also help. It's a nice way because you're using that as your background as well in that space. So I don't know, how have you got them at the moment?
They're in themes, so it will be business, spirituality. It's all in themes.
Okay. Just on the physical, because I'm just seeing it, so I'm not there with you. So on the physical, when we're looking at the background, it looks nice. If you had them in the color themes, it would look nicer in the eye. So remember, one really simple way to do it is to stand by your door of your office, shut the door, shut your eyes, open the door and open your eyes. And then use your 5 senses. So what can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you touch? How does it feel? So all those things are a really good way to really kind of, because your 5 senses are your direct connections with your emotional drivers. So as soon as you're using your 5 senses, you're connecting with that yin energy, you're connecting with the feminine energy, and you can start feeling if things aren't feeling too good, move them. And then, you know, that's when you start shifting some energy. But it's nice and it's good to do like on a monthly basis, move things around, shift them, 27 things. And then you open the windows and the door, let some chi come in, you know, just, you know, open up and let that energy flow coming in through. And do that on a daily basis, you know, your windows opening and letting the energy coming in and flowing into it. That's a really good way to kind of make sure you've got some good energy throughout the space. That makes sense?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry, Lynette, for putting you on the spot there. I just
no problem. Any pleasure.
And I can see there's a heart there as well in the corner, Lynette. You'll just have to move it on the right in the left corner instead of that corner there.
So on that, Claire, what would you do if you don't have a dedicated workspace?
Okay, so this is, you know, that's the important part of it when you are actually, when you have you were working in your home and you're on the side of the bed. And the important thing is to create really routine and habits where you're actually physically pretending to go to work. So you have your bag with your computer, and you're coming down from, or you're coming out from your bedroom. You've got your handbag, and you're actually literally going into your kitchen table. You're opening your laptop, you're making your coffee, you're coming back to that space. You're creating that space as it is your working space. Commanding position, always important. So always make sure that you've got your back to the space. If you can't do that, and if you really, because of space, you've got your desk against the wall, a really very, very sneaky little trick for your body is to put a mirror in front of you. Right, so if you have a mirror in front that you can't move your desk any other way, put a mirror, and then you can see straight away what's happening behind you. You don't have to move. Your body will suddenly feel, oh, that's okay. I can just look in the mirror and know that and no one's going to come in. Subconsciously make sure that, you're creating a really good environment where you feel that space. And the same in the evening. So have a box, have a bag, have something that you can put things. So you're closing them down, you're closing your computer, you're putting your pencils away, you're putting them into a space. So you're closing your day as if you were into an office as well. So it's really important to create those routines. So you have, whether it's a kitchen table or whether it's an office, that you're closing your day for it, right? You're closing your computer down and that kind of thing. So it's really important to create those. These are high performance habits, right? You're finishing the day, you're stopping, you can think about what have I done today? So you've got things like, you can revisualize your whole day. What are the things that worked? What didn't quite work? I do that in the evening, more when I go to bed, but it's a good time when you're finishing your day to think, okay, those are the things that happened today. This could have been improved. Maybe we could have done that better. That was really good. Celebrate the good things that you've done. And then start thinking about, okay, so tomorrow, where are we going tomorrow? What am I doing? What am I going to wear tomorrow to win that new clients? What am I, what energy am I going to bring tomorrow? And, not every day is the same. Tomorrow I'm keynoting. I'm on the stage of 650 HR professionals. And just now I'm already pumping myself up for it, right? Whereas, at the weekend, I will just make sure that I'm closing it down and I'm just really kind of bringing more of that yin energy, that, calm, and I need to recharge my battery by the weekend. So, depending on what you've got during the day, you can make sure that you're pumping yourself up with yang energy, or you calming yourself down. So that yin and yang balance is coming as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's very informative, Claire. I've got a great question here from Philippe. He says, or he asks, is there a feng shui way to approach the day, like a rhythm or approach to our energy?
Yeah, so Philippe, it's a great question. So in a feng shui, is what you bring to the day. So I think to have high performances, you need to create some really good routine. And that's, you need to look after your body physically, emotionally, mentally. And those are little routines that you're creating. So I'm going to give you some of the things that, some of my BizShui routine for high performance habits. And so the beginning of the day, again, it's always about that yin and yang energy. So, I'm kind of getting up about 5:45, and I do a quick little meditation and a quick visualization of what the day is going to happen and how I'm going to show up for the world on that day. And then I work up, and then I get to my yang energy. I'm going for a walk. I'm going to, kind of get some energy out there for a good 45 minutes. I come back. You need to drink a lot of water, obviously, in between. And then it's all about getting ready, power colors. What am I going to wear today to really kind of make sure that you're building up to that day. Everything is to do with how am I going to show up? Who are the people that I'm going to make a difference with? What am I going to share? How am I sharing that energy with other people? Because it's when you're with people, you don't know it, but your energy, your karma is radiating with other people. So if the more you're radiating, the more people are going to like you. You're like a magnet, and people will want to come to you. So radiate, some positivity. And that's all in a mindset. Remember, the state of being, how you think will affect how you feel, will affect how you behave. So always kind of connecting with each other. And then throughout the day, take some poses. I mean, I'm sure you all do that anyway, but, working 3-4 hours constantly, it's not going to be any good to you. Take that 10 minutes break, get up, move, get your body moving, get your body stretched, and do those kind of things. Close your day as if you were closing your home mini. You close your day, you're finishing, you're closing your computer, you're tidying up your desk, you're making sure that everything's nice and ready for the next day. What do I need to do for tomorrow? Always a little bit of feedback on what did I think about what's happened during the day, how things could have been maybe better, some things, and some things will be, okay, this is really good. Always celebrate the great success. I journal in the evening, so I will write fabulous, amazing things, always a minimum of 3 things that happened today, and that made my day. This is such a simple thing to journal, a book of brilliance, a book of happiness, call it whatever you want. But, when you go back in, you go to bed, really kind of be grateful, because again, gratefulness releases serotonin, it releases happy hormones. And when you feel good like that, you're falling asleep with releasing serotonin. And that's the best way to really, have a really good night's sleep. And sleep night is always a great way as well. Sleep is a great way to get answers, because your subconscious will tell you things that, you've done right or you haven't done right. So if you have any questions and things like, oh, I'm not getting an answer to that question, you can get a glass of water, drink half the glass of water before you go to bed, and ask yourself, what is the question that you want an answer from? And then you go to sleep, and then it normally will come through the night. You will have a vision, a dream, a ha-ha moment. You'll get up in the morning, you finish the glass of water, and that's, if it's not happened during the night, it's going to happen any minute. It's kind of, well, you need to leave a space for your brain. You need to be in that yin energy for your brain to receive any of those answers. So that's why I'm saying, really always make sure that you've got some yin energy and yang energy, always, to really create great habits. It's having those times where you're really performing, and having those times where you can be creative, when you can dream, when you can have those haha moments. That's the best way to do it. So creating some really good routine for your day is the best way to have a best inner feng shui.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Claire. So if I had to come to you, Claire, and I would have to say, I'm completely new to feng shui, where do I start?
Well, I think the starting with the 5 senses that I've talked about before is a really good way to connect with your subconscious level and actually connect with your emotional drivers and how do you feel in that space. And if it doesn't feel right, change it. That's probably a really good way to do it. Again, reading books is great. I mean, you'll pick up some of the books, and when I started, I picked up some of the books and I was like, what? This really doesn't call at me. And then I read another one, and that was just it. It just clicked. It just totally made sense. And I'm thinking, why haven't I thought about that before? And so it really depends on who you're reading and, how you're connecting with it. But, there's a couple of more. So the different schools in feng shui, which the interpretation of the feng shui principles are different depending of, who was the master, who read that specific principles and decided that it was going to be that way or that way. So I'm using more of a Western technique, B2B it's called, which is really is about aligning your energy with your space. It's about using the front door, because the front door is the mouth of the Shi. It's where the energy flows, to really mark the space and be able to move things around so it starts moving. So, there's loads and loads of Feng Shui practitioners. If you want to join, I'm actually speaking at the Feng Shui Guild's annual conference. It's a virtual conference. So if you want to learn more, there's going to be some amazing speaker, and I feel very honored to having been selected. I'm a bit scared, actually. When you're speaking to actually with other people which are in the same field, it's always a little bit daunting, right? But that's the thing about what I've done, and I've created that BizShui method because I created my own method. So I've used the principles, the ancient principles, and I adapted it to the business environment. So employees, people, anybody can really look at it and start moving things, shifting things, bringing some better flow energy into their space in a very simple way.
Oh, wow.
And you can buy my book as well if you want my book.
I'll share the links now in the chat box. Just to end off the session, I want to ask, can you give us any Feng Shui no-nos?
Okay, so clutter is a no-no, definitely. So clutter, look at your space. You're not going to put any beautiful fresh flowers into a dirty vase, right? You're not, right? So if you're going to start doing some good thing and move your energy, it's really about decluttering. It's probably the first space out of it. Making sure that, you've all heard that, close the toilet seats, that's a good one, because otherwise the money will flow into the into the toilet seat. So that's, always keep your open up your windows and make sure that every day you're letting some energy coming in through. So having things stuck, it's a real no-no. It comes back to that low energy. You walk into an office and it smells. That's not good Feng Shui. Definitely, that's something not quite right there. So that's a no-no. And there's different things that you can when you're having, it's about you're feeling things. Okay, so if it doesn't feel right for you, it's a no-no. Even if Feng Shui say put this there, if it doesn't feel right, it's a no-no. Just don't do it. So use your five senses, your sixth senses even, because that's the sixth sense which will tell you whether it feels right or not. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope it all makes sense.
Awesome. Is there any questions from anyone who'd like to ask Claire? Or Claire, would you like to add in anything before we end off the session?
No, I think, look at your space and look at how it affects you, and just move things, shape things, ruffle things, touch things. That's really very simple things. 27 items, move them on a regular basis, and then see how it feels. Your home is a vision board, right? Your home, every time you walk past something, it either bring you some energy because you feel good watching this particular item, or it doesn't. And because your great-grandmother gave you this item and it's been passed on for so many years, if you got it and every time you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not good energy. So it's using your home or your office as your visual, your vision board. So make sure that everywhere you are, you've got something that makes you feel good.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Claire. I've got a comment here from Mike. Mike also says, thank you, Claire. Feng Shui is underrated, but should be integrated into our businesses. It's brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, I need to start my Feng Shui practice.
And Stephanie also says, thank you, Claire. I need to restart my Feng Shui practices.
I like the that's a very good start. Yeah, and then it becomes a lifestyle. You're not even doing Feng Shui, you're just leaving it. You're living in the flow, that's what's amazing about it, right?
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you, Claire. Thank you for being a guest on the webinar today. It was very informative, very interesting. I think everyone's going to check out your links.
Thank you, and yeah, connect. I'm very happy to share. They've got some videos on YouTube as well. I've done some interviews with different Feng Shui speakers. So thanks, Philippe.
Thanks, guys, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
have a great day, wherever you are. Bye, everyone.